Next slide. This was copyrighted first in 1968. It was the first indication of the results of the secret studies. This was published by Paul Ehrlich. Next. It says here, probably accurate to say that if all the food produced in the world today were in some sense equally distributed, that everyone would have an adequate diet. Does that mean that those who claim that there is no population problem, only a problem of distribution, are correct? Absolutely not. Population pressures are a product of animals as they exist, not as they might be. If lions ate grass instead of antelopes, the plains of Africa could support many more of them before the plains would be overpopulated. Similarly, the carrying capacity of Earth for saints is considerably higher than the carrying capacity for Homo sapiens. In theory, the problem of human overpopulation could be solved by a reduction in population size or by a change towards more saintly behavior. The current situation of global overpopulation is so serious, and the built-in potential for further population increase is so great, that the only sensible strategy for humanity today is to end population growth and start a population decline as rapidly as is humanly possible, simultaneously striving to achieve a more equitable distribution of the food and other goods of this planet. Limiting births and increasing social justice are not alternative strategies to preserving society. They are, ladies and gentlemen, necessary complements. Next slide. Now, here is the key. In this book, Paul Ehrlich told us that they had already decided on the solution because they had tried zero population growth and we didn't buy it. We didn't buy it. Worked in some small areas, but it didn't work in many, and it certainly didn't work worldwide. This paragraph tells you everything that you ever need to know about what is happening today and will answer a lot of your questions. Basically, then, there are only two kinds of solutions to the population problem. One is a birth rate solution, in which we find ways to lower the birth rate. Didn't work. Didn't work. The other is a death rate solution, in which ways to raise the death rate, war. You asked me about the Middle East. You asked me about what happened to Iran. You asked me about El Salvador. You asked me about Nicaragua. You asked me what's going to happen in the future. This paragraph tells you what's going to happen. Famine, pestilence, find us. They have just shut off the water to all the farmers in the San Joaquin Valley. They produce 50% of all the vegetables that are consumed in this country. Do you believe that's an accident after reading this? Large corporations and banks have been forcing the small farmer out of existence and buying up land which sits fallow. Do you think that's an accident? We have sold all of our grain to the Soviet Union. Do you think that's an accident? There's not 20 days supply of grain in this country if we needed it in an emergency. Now listen to this. The problem could have been avoided by population control, in which mankind consciously adjusted the birth rate so that a death rate solution did not have to occur. He's telling us, ladies and gentlemen, that they have already decided upon it and that it is in effect. Next. The next warning was the limits to growth. This was published by the Club of Rome. Next. The conclusions are, and this is only what they've revealed to the public, what they told to the power elite of the world is an entirely different story and is much more radical. If the present growth trends in world population, industrialization, pollution, food production, and resource depletion continue unchanged, the limit to growth on this planet will be reached sometime within the next 100 years. The most probable result will be a rather sudden and uncontrollable decline in both population and industrial capacity. And what they don't say here that they said in the secret report is that the masses of people in the world will result to the overthrow of their government, and anarchy will reign as they try to feed themselves and their families and find jobs. It is possible to alter these growth trends and to establish a condition of ecological and economic stability that is sustainable far into the future. The state of global equilibrium could be designed so that the basic material needs of each person on Earth are satisfied and each person has an equal opportunity to realize his individual human potential. Who would suffer the most under such a plan? Not the rich, ladies and gentlemen. They are in control. It's going to be us. Americans consume most of the raw materials in the world. 50% of the energy supply is consumed in this country. We pollute the earth more than any other nation. It is us who are going to have to go back and live like our ancestors did, and they're going to make us if we don't learn how to do it on our own. I'd rather be a volunteer than a slave. I don't know about you. If the world's people decide to strive for the second outcome rather than the first, the sooner they begin working to attain it, the greater will be their chances of success. And down in the last paragraph, something really important. These conclusions are so far-reaching and raise so many questions for further study that we are quite frankly overwhelmed by the enormity of the job that must be done. We hope that this book will serve to interest other people in many fields of study and in many countries of the world to raise the space and time horizons of their concerns and to join us in an understanding and preparing for a period, and listen to this because they're not kidding, it's coming very soon, for a period of great transition, the transition from global to global equilibrium. Henry Kissinger said when asked what he foresaw for the coming decade, he said, everything will be different. There will be a new world order. Many will suffer. For those who survive, the world will be better. And the last thing he said, we will have the world we have always wanted. Now, if you know anything about Henry Kissinger, he never wastes words, and he knows what's going on. Next. This is the regionalized and adaptive model of the global world system from the computer model at MIT, designed for the strategy for survival project of the Club of Rome. Patriots in this country have been running around calling the Club of Rome a subversive organization. They've been trying to ensure our survival. They're a study group, a think tank. That's all they are. They don't make the decisions. Next. We don't have time to go through all of this, but it's in my book. That chapter is going to be the most interesting chapter that you're going to read in my book. And everything that I say in there and here is thoroughly documented. Next. And next. And next. These are the New World regions. There is already a new constitution has been made for the United States of America. It's called the New States Constitution. It was paid for by your tax dollars over a 10-year period. It was developed by the Center for Democratic Studies in Santa Barbara, California, and it cost $25 million. The entire Constitution is also in my book. Next. You could see by there, Region 1 was the combination of the United States and Canada, and that's the real reason for the lowering of the trade restrictions between the United States and Canada. We are fixing to be merged. Next. And next. There are 10 regions in the New World Order, and you are looking at them now. Next. Next. What's one of the answers? Alternative 3. I also saw documentation, and I've already shown you documentation on slides, that there may have been somebody in the moon in 1958, and I can tell you right now, there is a base on the moon. We are attempting to colonize space because if their attempts to control our greed and our wastefulness and our destruction of this earth do not work, the only hope for the survival of the human race is colonization of other planets. Next. This is verification. I can't tell you who wrote this letter, but it is a letter that was delivered into our hands from, well, I can't tell you that, but this confirms that as far back as 1962, working for the Jet Propulsion Labs in Pasadena, she was working on photography taken of the Moon and Mars from objects that went there. I can tell you that the first landing on Mars of a probe occurred on May the 22nd, 1962, sent back photographs and verified the existence of an atmosphere that could support life. This woman was married to a man. She says in this letter, his function was to design domed modular living facilities, next slide please, for colonies of Earth scientists to be stationed on the Moon and then Mars. It was called Project Adam and Eve. We didn't get this letter, ladies and gentlemen, until August of 1989. I had already revealed the presence of a colony on the Moon and Mars on July the 2nd, 1989. Okay, next. 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 Report from Iron Mountain on the possibility and desirability of peace. Next. This is really important. Though not yet expressly put forth as the development of a long-range sequence of space research projects with largely unattainable goals, this kind of program offers several advantages lacking in the social welfare model. First, it is unlikely to phase itself out regardless of the predictable surprises science has in store for us. The universe is too big. In the event some individual project unexpectedly succeeds, there would be no dearth of substitute problems. For example, if colonization of the Moon proceeds on schedule, it could then become necessary to establish a beachhead on Mars or Jupiter and so on. Next. This is a book called Exploring Space with a Camera, published by the National Aeronautics and Space Administration. Next. In which you see tracks on the surface of the Moon. Now I want you to notice where these tracks go. They start way up here. They go down into this valley, up over this hill, down in this valley, up over this hill, down in this crater, up over this hill, and down here. And NASA says it's rocks rolling downhill. Next. Next. Here's another one. Look at this. It goes way down in this crater, up here, over here, down in this little crater, up, down again, and stops right there and makes a long shadow. Next. Here's another one.
So whatever was making those tracks was still there?
Yes. Next. Look here. Look at those tracks. Look at that object and look how big the shadow is. Here's another small set of tracks here. Goes out into the washout and the light. And here's another one. It comes up out of the crater and down here. And there's the object casting a shadow. Rocks rolling downhill. Next. These are official NASA photographs taken right out of a NASA publication. I didn't fake them. You can go get the same book and look at them yourself. They told us there's no water on the Moon. I guess that doesn't call for any comment, does it? Next. This is another book that we had to get because they had pulled it off the shelves when they found out what was in it, and another one also. Also printed by NASA. Next. And this is the other one, Atlas and Gazetteer of the Near Side of the Moon. We have located one in the library of the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, which the title is The Lunar Base, and we are trying to get someone in there to photograph it now. Next. 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 Right here, you can see a machine inside the crater throwing dirt out of the crater, and right there you can see a saucer sitting on the rim. Over here you can see a crater that's already been artificially mined and is just left vacant. Next. That's another view of it. You can no longer see the disk that was sitting on the rim. It's gone. Next. Pardon? I don't remember. We've already passed that page. Does everybody want to go back to it? Got to be quick. Go ahead. Next. Down in this crater, you see all kinds of artificial objects. We have no idea what they are. They are not natural. It's really strange. You can see here a building with a ramp coming this way and then up to the top, and then a flattened off top here and square corners all around it. You never find anything like that in nature anywhere. There are other objects, I won't go into them. That is the most obvious. It has square corners all the way around. Next. Here you can see the antenna from the lunar orbiter here. Look at these weird things in this crater over here. These are the ones we just looked at, and that's where the mining is going on, or what appears to be mining up there. And this is the artificial crater that we looked at. All of the other photographs that you saw were macro photography taken from this photograph out of the book. Next. Anybody see anything strange there? It's right out of the book, folks. Don't see anything strange? What's that? Next.
I don't know. What is it?
Give me the next slide. What is that? Give me the next slide. Okay, go back one. This looks exactly like a B-24 Liberator bomber. Is it? I don't know. Look over here. Here's another one. There's a wing, there's a body, there's a tail section. Small plane. Next. Look here. See this mountain that has been shaved off? The top is flat and there are 4 domes on it. Can you see it? Give me the next slide. I know there's somebody out there that's faking. They don't see it yet. Okay, give me another slide. Now can you see it? Right out of the book. Look at this dome here on this flattened off area. It looks like a piece of pie. There's a dome. 4 domes on this mountain. And we're talking from way, way up. Those domes are big, even though they look small to you. Next. This is the crater Kepler. Anything unusual there? Right out of the book. Look at this. You see those 4 domes lined up in a row right there? You see where the side of the crater has been cut out? You see where somebody's built it's either a road or a wall beside a road that goes from here down into the crater. Incredible things in these books. Now, we only had a short time to look. We didn't have any magnifying glass of any kind, and we had to take these pictures. If we had had the time, we probably would have found a lot more. But we had to do what we had to do and get out of there because of the restrictions put upon us. Next. There's a close-up again. You can see the 4 domes right in a row. You can see the crater's been artificially cut out. Next. Look at this. What is this? This is the weirdest thing I've ever seen. We don't know what it is. but it resembles the freeway interchange in Los Angeles, doesn't it? We don't know what it is. We didn't know what it is. But look what's in this crater right here, and you see it all over the moon. If you look real good in these craters, it's a big, giant, T-shaped object that can bend itself to conform to whatever it's sitting on, and you see them in all of these photographs. Next. Look right up here on this ledge, folks. You'll see a whole bunch of buildings. See them? They're all square and rectangular with perfect 90-degree angle corners all the way around. Next. This is what we were looking at, the freeway interchange. I don't know what it is. I just call it that because... Next. Oh, go back. I'm sorry. There's something I want you to see. What is this? Next. And you can see that a little bit better there. Next. This is one of my favorite photographs. Something crawled over this lip of that crater, gouged out the lip, crawled down, gouging the earth away, made a turn here, came back, crossed its own path, and went back over the lip of that crater. I guess it could have been a rock rolling downhill. Next. There's a close-up of it. There is no doubt about this, ladies and gentlemen. You can see it as plain as day. It came up over this rim, came down, made a turn, went back over its own path, and out. Next. Look at this. Experts that we have taken this to say that that resembles the crater made by a very large artificial explosion, such as a nuclear weapon. Next. That's Kepler again, just to show you that it did come out of the book. Next. 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 What was it? Oh, you can see these T-shaped things again. There's another one. You can see here an opening into the moon here, shaped almost like a triangle or a pyramid, and there's something parked right there. I have no idea what it is. There's another one up here, the opening, triangle shape, and something parked right there. Look here, there's another T-shaped object here, or cross-shaped here. There's a building right here, or what appears to be a building. Look here, look at these tracks. Look at this. It has an arm coming out the side and something trailing behind it. Next. Look at it. Boulder rolling downhill. Next. I forget what this was. I think we were just looking at this strange, looks like somebody's been running around there with a bulldozer. We don't know what it is. Next. Can you see the clouds? Can you see the clouds in the lunar atmosphere, ladies and gentlemen? This is an official NASA photograph out of an official NASA publication, a book that they printed that shows clouds in the atmosphere of the moon. Next. Of course, we could be imagining things, but we're not, because you can see those clouds go over geological formations and over the rims of craters. Next. You ever seen a square crater? Next. Oh, look here, folks. What is that? Doesn't that look like a triangular-shaped lake or reservoir with an island in the middle? Is it? I don't know. Next. same picture a while ago. I kept trying to get a better picture of this object because you can sure see that thing sticking out with an arm trailing behind it. Next. Yeah, we saw it. This is, and this is incredible that they would allow this to be published. It says here, they resemble many steep terrestrial slopes, including those of some man-made craters produced by explosives. Next. Here are again 2 triangular-shaped openings into the moon. They are not the same location as the other ones, and they have a platform at the lip, but there's nothing sitting on these as there was on the other ones. Next. Anybody see anything unusual here? What we're looking at is across the entire crater Copernicus. What I'm looking at is a page of the book in which, in a very small portion of that photograph, I have taken this with macro photography, and in this you can see a base in that crater across on the far side of the crater, and you can see towers, you can see buildings, you can see tanks, you can see another tank or tower over here, and you can see it even better. Next slide. Check it out. Next slide. Look at this. Look at this big Christian cross right here. Look at these buildings here. Look over here. It looks like what's a building up under this ledge. These are all perfectly square corners. They do not occur in nature. Any expert will tell you that. Next. This right here is a pyramid, exactly to the same scale of the Pyramid of Cheops. This is a Christian cross. Now, this is so far away that this cross has to be hundreds of feet high. A rock. Next. See the pyramid? See the tower? See the buildings? Next. Again, there's the cross. It is huge. You can see tanks right along here. They look like oil tanks. Here's another tower over here. See it? Next. Again, you can see the pyramid. You can see this tower. You can see the cross. You can see looks like a city here. These are buildings. All have perfect 90-degree angles, all over the place. Again, here's the tanks. Look like oil tanks. Next. What was this? Sometimes when I don't look at these all the time, I lose what the heck I was even looking at to begin with. Oh, right here. Look at this. This is some kind of an artificial installation that has been built. Look, here's a perfect square. Here's perfect right angles. Here are 2 arches. Here is an arch that goes over something that goes underneath it. What is it? I don't know. But I can assure you that it is artificial. It is not natural. Next. Look at how this has been flattened out here. And I think there were some domes or something here, if I remember correctly. I can't see it now. Next. And next. Now this is the photograph that I took of the base across the crater. See the tower? We're looking all the way across the crater Copernicus, and you can still see that tower sticking up. That's how big it is. That's what caught my eye. And then I began to take macro photographs. It wasn't until we really developed the film that we knew that we had anything from that, because this is the photograph that I was photographing. That's why NASA put it in the book. They overlooked it. Next. That's Kepler again. Next. That's the crater Copernicus. That's the one. This is the photograph that I took the pictures over there. The last one you looked at was a close-up of about this area. And the close-ups that you saw where the base was were right in here. Next. That's the one, remember, we talked about